All right, chat, we're back. So let me get the other bracket up. I turned the camera off because I'm going to be eating while we're doing this. That way people don't have to watch me chew. All right, chat. So this is Event 2, and we are just waiting on a number of the players to get ready. We got about 3 minutes before we officially start. So, chat, like I said, let me know your feedback, even if you're just watching. Let me know in Discord what people think about the format, what they think about, the different aspects of it. I expect we're going to be changing it up for Fright Night number 5. Game plans to start that in March. My goal is to try and do one Fright Night a month. That's my long-term goal. Whether that'll happen, we'll see. I can't communicate everything that I hear from the devs when they tell me about the events, but let's just say we have to have successful events to continue doing events. Which I don't think is really like letting on any secrets, you know what I mean? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to run events if they're unsuccessful. So, the better they do, the better we'll do. Whoa, let's jump into the Hakune game right away. We'll pull down the bracket. As mentioned, my camera is off because I am super hungry. So I'm going to be eating and spare everybody staring at me chewing while we're going through this. Hopefully you can tolerate me eating while we're doing it. So we have Hakune here against Be Prepared on... I can't remember what the name of this map is, but it was a recently corrected one because the center panic point, as we were discussing earlier, has been changed. And oh, by the way, while we're at the beginning, just want to let everybody know that I am, of course, part of the content affiliate program. Phobies team gives me stuff both for producing Phobies content and putting on these events. So I have to get that out at the beginning so people know the context. But as far as gameplay goes, we'll see if Hakune leans into their typical plan of trying to get Hevo 3.0 online. We did watch a Hakune game last night as a game breakdown where it was a 3.0 mirror. And earlier, we did see another game on this map in Event 1 where Hevo 3.0 also managed to take control of the board. Now, we're getting a turret-heavy opener from Hakune, which to me screams, yeah, Hevo 3.0 is at some point going to make an appearance. However, in the meantime, Hakune is going to have to wrest control back of this board because that's a 3-0 panic point advantage, and you can snipe the spider. That's about it right now. I'm not even sure you can get the spider. Lol, you cannot. I mean, it'll die to poison. No one's going to invest a muffin to save this spider, but that is super obnoxious because that thing's going to get counter hits. Never mind. The jar will clean up the vermin, the arachnid, and down it goes. God, I'm so hungry, I can't even begin to tell you. So maxing out on Phobies, but this is still early in the game. There are things that are going to get traded out, namely that Bachelor and Spider. This will allow Hakune to reclaim some of these points, but in the meantime, our blue player is banked to 6. So what is the blue player going to commit to the board here? It's a Klepto. That seems to be the go-to answer for a lot of players. Plus, this is a cluster map. Without a Gravedigger, which I'm a little surprised we didn't see show up for either player so far, that means that it's very easy to end up with groupings of Phobies that the Klepto is going to get a lot of value out of. Extracting the value from your opponent. So we do see a little bit of stabilization now from Hakune, but it's still not a spectacular position. Here is that Gravedigger, and now we're suddenly at least 3 turns away from that Hevo 3.0 if it's going to materialize. But even with that single obstacle removed, suddenly there's a much larger amount of area to make Hakune's life easier, especially since there are 2 1-movers. You don't have a lot of mobility. You don't have a lot of mobility here. Okay, so this clearly has to be a bait by Hakune saying, hey, come get me. The problem is, I think that this... I guess this is okay. Hakune is good enough that Hakune is not going to just offer up a phobie like that for nothing. I doubt they forgot about the the meatball from the murder wing. Like, there's just no way, right? But instead, you're going to get their murder wing for your jar. Is that worth it? I'm not sure. And honestly, this follow-up Thunder Rocks is kind of unique because this means that if the Bo Mangles commits to trying to kill this thing, it could just die. Okay, they undid it. I think Be Prepared saw what was on the table here. What was immediately going to come down the pipe. Didn't want to commit to Thunder Rocks. I can't really blame them. But instead, they banked to 6. Little ASMR. I hope it isn't too bad for chat. But look, I gotta eat. I am, in fact, diabetic. I do need to pay attention to some of those things. It matters. Or otherwise, I'm not going to make it through Event 3. So if it really bothers everybody, feel free to skip ahead if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're watching this live, well, you're stuck with it for a little while. So because of the repositioning, this allows Hakune to take that second panic point and start to actually stage, well, whatever they're planning to set up. And in this case, as mentioned earlier, I expect we're going to see Hebo 3.0. The Unicorn, I don't think, has really had much chance to configure a trap setup, but this feels a little lazy by Hakune. Now, there is the potential that you're going to get a big response. That Cassowary had to come in, the Klepto had to come in. You have 6 keys, but Jar is out, so you can get Snowball plus some other range phobie, say a Spud, to then allow... So Snowball and Spud kill Cassowary, let's say. Then it's Gravedigger, a hit from Bo Mangles, and 2 hits from Unicorn. That's not going to be enough to really clear this out, I don't think. Sorry, I don't have that on the command, Seneth. I will post the final Event 1 bracket into Discord. I just want to see this turn first. So we do see, yeah, this is pretty much where I expected things to go. And in fact, that's a dead Klepto. That is a dead Klepto. So final standings are now posted into Discord in the Fright Night channel. If you're not part of the Random Thoughts Discord, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see it in the video description. If you're here on the live stream, !Discord. I just do photosynthesis, what, from my basement? I don't think that works out very well, Anna. I don't think that'll work out very well. So a lot of damage has gone down onto Smiley, Hakune's heart. I don't know why I was saying Smiley there. 3k health, 5,800. But I think this bait into trap, this trap play worked. Well, I know you're not using it now, Doc, because I don't see that mute symbol, although I think that's opt-in. You don't have to have that symbol if you don't want. Stairmaster is one of the last phobies for our blue player. We'll see. I don't know about that. Panic Point Advantage is still in... Okay, they're taking it back. They don't know about it either. Panic Point Advantage is still in favor of blue. And as mentioned, 3k health. I don't know about Thunder Rocks now. That seems unnecessary. Maybe it's just me. So Hakune is playing to their strength, having this, having the advantage here of just being able to take down phobie after phobie. Taking down the Murder Wing, this is going to die one way or another. I imagine Hakune is going to elect to pop something on the board to kill it. Maggie would be very interesting, and I'd be a little surprised. I imagine Hakune has a specific phobie in mind that costs, say, 5. Hence why they put out Maggie. That they really want to commit to the board. There's still 5 keys remaining. It could just be a matter of trying to say, hey, my opponent has 5 keys. I want to keep 5 keys so that we're on equal footing. The advantage here is because of that snowball being the body blocker there, not only does Bowmangles live, but anything that tries to kill the snowball is going to get yoinked into place. So that means that it's very much susceptible to, well, all of Hakune's team, basically. I am now crunching some pretzels for all of you ASMR fans out there. I'm trying to lean back when I do it so that the mic doesn't pick it up as much. You'll have to let me know if everybody can hear me chowing down. I'm hungry. So Evo is the final phobie for our blue player? I don't know about that. Truth be told, I'm not sure what their answer is. This is a rough spot. Because anything that goes in is dead, and then all of a sudden it's 2 phobies against their entire team. Because you're not going in and killing anything. You're not going to get in there and annihilate something. So I don't know that it would have been better to have the Daisy stay and kill that. Oh, it's Glob! Chad, I had to bring the camera back for this. It's Glob. Chat, we've now seen Glob in a tournament game. I mean, honestly, Glob seems really good in this scenario. You're just going to absolutely bully your opponent. They can't come to you. They can't come anywhere near you. You're going to set Glob up here, and then if they ever try and reclaim a panic point, the game is over, right? Because you're just going to eat whatever's there, and you're not going to kill it. Oh, and by the way, Hakune still has one key left. Yeah, the Thunder Rocks kind of left much to be desired. The Glob does kind of open a window to a degree. Like, the Thunder Rocks can go in, but I think the Thunder Rocks probably just dies regardless. Yeah, I don't think Hakune is going to give our blue player the opportunity to actually connect with that Bowmangles. And if Hakune does, it's because Hakune has allowed it to happen. That's how I picture this going down. Otherwise, yeah, I don't think it's connecting. But at this stage, I don't know. Hakune just got that Glob. Well, level 1s. Don't have to worry about leveling it up. I gotta make sure I don't eat too many of these pretzels, chat. Pretzels are my favorite snack. I have a tendency to just, like, I could eat a whole jar of pretzels by myself, and it's not good. It's not very healthy. Yo, a little PogChamp action for the Glob. You love to see it. You love to see it. But honest to God, I don't know what the hell Bad Guy does at this stage. There's a world in which Hakune loses, but I think it necessitates Hakune committing inappropriately to something. And, like, how many realities? What does Glob do? It is the blob from the 1980s horror movies. So, Digest, if it rolls, as in moves over, it can occupy the same space as another phobie, namely enemy phobies. If it does, it ingests that phobie, and then proceeds to digest that phobie at 1,000 damage a turn. Can move onto tiles containing enemies. If sharing a tile with an enemy at the end of your turn, deals damage and immobilizes them. If Glob is pushed or pulled, the enemy is freed. Oh, there's no boop or yoink on this map. So anything Glob eats will be in there. It also has 2,500 health, and most of these Phobies not doing a whole lot of damage. Phobies hoodie looks good. It does look good. I love it. It's kind of light. Like, it's not a very heavy sweatshirt. And it's kind of small, at least for me. Oh no, Glob. You gotta love the Glob. You just don't see it that often. You just don't see it that often. Sorry, getting pings that I missed earlier from Smiley. Smiley's making sure that they're not still playing. But yes, Smiley, if you're here, go to bed. Well done. Congratulations. You're gonna have to put up with my chewing, chap. I'm still hungry. I'll probably be hungry throughout this entire event. And then it'll be just in time to be hungry for event 3. There's a universe where Hakune loses, unfortunately for Bad Guy. We don't live in that universe. Fair, Irk. Yeah, I don't think it's this universe. This is, I mean, you would have to go out of your way to try and lose from this position, I think. And even then, it's possible that where our blue player ends up, like, they just make a mistake into the overcommittal or whatever Hakune does to make a mistake. So Be Prepared then makes a counter mistake, and then it just ends up back at square one. I think what you have to do is probably bait the Glob with the Thunder Rocks or something, and then try and kill everything else in between, but I don't think you have enough damage. Plus, the Glob will be body blocking. Hey, look at this. You can't actually kill even the creep. This is what our blue player needs to do. They need to pick things off. Honestly, it might be worth sending in the Glob just to soak a bunch of hits and then stand behind it so you can push damage. Honestly, Onda, I hope the devs sell more Phobies merch, just in general. It would be nice to do it for contests and stuff, but I think it should just be available for people to purchase. And I think there needs to be Phobie mugs with Vendy on it. The first of what I'm sure will be many casualties. Get the takedown here on Thunder Rocks. Bo Mangles can now just go to town. Getting the beatdown going down on Evo here. Muffin to follow it up. Bad news for you, bad guy. Bad news for you, bad guy. I keep saying bad guy out of a habit, but it's really blue player. And Hakune is a regular on the stream, so, you know, caster bias, we'll say. I'm not really, I mean, we keep saying it, going in circles. There's not really much that our blue player can do from this position. You can certainly dodge this Glob, but honestly, cap this point with Muffin. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Send the Maggie to Heart, and I think that would be sufficient in order to end the game. Maybe not, because you have 2,400 health. So it's possible these two can do it faster. So Hakune has the same line in mind that blue player would have to commit in and go for the heart in order to try and take this game. And honestly, it might work, or had the potential to work, but Not in this case. I doubt they would get it, but I guess it would be close. This kind of removes any possibility of that happening because, you know, they just can't get there. I mean, our blue player is making this closer than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was basically just going to be eventually Glob gets something and then the game just ends. This feels a little too defensive, but I guess it doesn't matter. I probably would have sent the Maggie in. Because what are they going to do? Completely full retreat to kill the Maggie? And if they don't, the Maggie probably pushes enough damage in combination with the panic points to get there anyway. Yeah, there's no way to hit the Maggie from here with these two. And you obviously have to retreat in order to make sure you don't get globbed. The Maggie can one-shot the Hevo at this stage, so that's also awkward. Although, truthfully... The 2-to-1 panic point advantage. Oh, no. The muffin! We learned this a long time ago, but apparently muffins are the bane of the undead. Baked goods. And just like that, it was solely Hevo. Honestly, this is pretty... 1,200 health, I mean... Here's the thing, if this muffin dies, the game is over, though. Right? There's not a lot of time left, but if blue player is able to kill the muffin, they can just literally run away from Glob, and there's nothing Hakune can do. Although, at this stage, like... There's just no way. There's just no way. This was a very delicate chess match with the positioning. Hakune should probably just pass turn. And it doesn't really matter. This makes sense, because if they're able to claim the bottom panic point, that would be bad. But yeah, at this point, it's just a matter of... It's exactly enough. You just pass turn. GG. Well played. The Glob takes it down. Almost didn't. Almost didn't. Nerf Muffin. Muffin God. True. Well done. Well done. Take a look at Cat Mad game. Glob can't glob the heart is correct. So we're jumping here with Cat Mad. Double checking something. Cat Mad versus Redwick. Yep. We're here on Carousel. We see a Gonzo. We see some teardown thanks to Gravedigger. And we do get the infamous Gravedigger offensive block. Never mind. No offensive block. No offensive block. Let's see. We got a healthy blue team. We have a pretty healthy orange team. Snowball coming out. This could be a dead Snowball. Meatball's live. Gravedigger is, of course, live. I feel like this Stabby should have been here. Not just for that reason, but also for that reason. Granted, this Gravedigger still has its break, so it can be popped here. But that's a free snipe on the Snowball. Awkward. Now, I believe this is game 2 of this series. Yes, Catmad won game 1. So Catmad is up a game right now in this series. Triple panic point advantage blue. With the Spud backing up that Gravedigger. Who doesn't love a potato in their back pocket? I don't know. I told you, this is going to get weird, chat, until my blood sugar levels out. We get the break. Honestly, maybe the break would have been better, like break this one? Nah, because then the Gonzo doesn't, I don't know. You get double hits from the stabby regardless. You get the takedown. Meatball's down. There isn't really, I mean, they could invade and possibly kill this, but then you have to, like, commit your entire team, and I don't even think that's enough damage. It's not. Boomer, and then, where's Zonda? You got a little Kerbloom action, baby. You get a little Kerbloomage. When you absolutely positively have to make everything around you go boom. Only except Kerbloom. Or I guess Kaboom. Boom is, it's whatever. Yes, we could amend it and say when you absolutely positively have to make everything around you go boom and possibly go away. Except only Kerbloom. So Boomer goes down, that means it's going to be a dead cassowary because the effort involved, maybe not. So no triple panic points. 2-1 remaining. And here's where we get this another stalemate. Since it's a smaller map, we're not going to get this massive stalemate like we keep seeing on the Once lore. But we'll have to see what happens here because you have all of the panic points covered as blue player. Admittedly, you do as orange player as well, but orange player's down. And you don't want to sacrifice your 2-key Kerbloom. There was clearly a play in mind for this. I don't really know what it was, but there's one in mind. Now, notably, Catmad, our orange player, now has multiple buttons to press. They got the Kerbloom. They got the Gravedigger. They have the Gonzo. There's only 2 buttons to press on, well, I guess 3. So they have a similar amount on Redwick's side as well. This is an aggressive Gravedigger. It's probably going to pay for this with its life. I feel as though the Gravedigger still had value. There's 3,800 health to 6,000. So you've taken a beating, but not a, you know, like, the world hasn't ended yet. Things aren't over. I think, yeah, I think it's better to wait on this, personally. I don't see a need to... You get one more break or block. Still here, Onda? No sleep for Onda. I mean, the VODs and videos will go up if you want to catch them on YouTube and catch some Z's as well, but you're welcome to hang out. So what is our blue player going to do? They're maxed out on Phobies. I don't see a reason to do anything here. I don't see a reason to commit to anything. And it looks like they're just going to pass. I don't know why the timer doesn't run down when I'm watching. It would be nice to have that. I could have sworn it did, but it's not in this game. I don't know if that's a bug or I was imagining things. But either way, we get an attractor, which pairs pretty well with this Kerbloom. 3,200 health. It's starting to get a little dicey for Catmad. 6 keys remaining for Redwick, but, of course, no Phobie slots. It's going to take a couple turns to get the attractor into position, and it's going to take some careful dancing to make everything get to where it needs to be and not die. So you could body block for the Kerbloom, and then keep a break online so the Kerbloom could slide, say, from here to here, and then catch something that's in the middle, but if you want a multi-pop, that's going to be tough. But this is what I was expecting. So we probably get a combination of Murder Wing Spud to kill this, but that means that this block is still there. 660... Yeah, you should not be able to kill... Yeah, I think you have to commit the Murder Wing in order to get the Gravedigger. Which at this point, I think that's an okay trade for Catmad. But they are down keys, and Gravedigger oddly enough, is a significant portion of their damage output. Or at least not insignificant. Down goes Gravedigger. You can still snipe this. It doesn't matter. You can just hit it twice with this, and then move this up. So panic point advantage is in favor of our orange player finally. Just barely starting to chip away at that heart. I don't know what the follow-up is from our blue player, though. And I wonder how patient orange player will be. I think you take the Murder Wing kill here. There's an argument to maybe wait and then maybe get a better attractor pull, but odds are you're just going to get the K9. So if this was lower, as in they almost destroyed it, I don't know how this works. Say you yoink on the obstacle, and it's low enough that it would die to the yoink. Will it then displace, say, the spud to the center? I assume it would. Baby Snaky is the final phobie for our orange player. That seems... I don't know. That's a little weird to me. Given especially that our blue player has 6 keys, and their 6 keys are getting invested in Erratic. The terror of the lower stress levels. Erratic isn't bad here. I mean, there's 3 mechanicals, one of which may even die to splash. Like, that could get messy fast. You're absolutely going to be able to bully somebody. I don't know about this. Yeah, that would have been death. You lose both of these. You can't commit to that because you trivially kill the cassowary. You can yoink so that you get a little bit extra damage here. You juice this with Gonzo and then blow up both of them. And then you're in a really bad spot. Honestly, if this statue was eliminated quicker, then you might have been able to do that, because then Catmad has to commit to cap the center, and you might be able to win out in the Phobie war there, but I kind of doubt it, because it would be these 4 versus these 3. So I think you're still in a terrible spot, but we'll see how this goes. All right, so just inching into position. Still 5k health. Redwick has like 1,000,000 turns for this to become something, essentially. Even if it's not ready right this second, it could be. Definitely prepping this so that that way you can advance and not have to like overcommit. Yeah, Erratic seems fine here. I kind of agree with chat. I don't know whether this is going to work out. But this is going to demand a repositioning from Catmad, because you can't hang out here. The Erratic's going to come in. The thing is you might have enough damage to just blow up the Erratic. This is 1,800 health. There's 800 right here, and you can yoink it into range. I almost want to see Catmad leave things for bait and say, okay, yeah, send in Erratic. Good luck. It's going to die. I don't necessarily like the Kerbloom repositioning here. I think Kerbloom here would have been better rather than down here. Like, no, they're not killing the baby Snaky, which they're going to beat it up. I don't know if baby Snaky will die to the return here. Like, you kill this, you leech some amount of health. Will this be able to solo it? See, like, this took 350. If the Kerbloom stayed in range, the Kerbloom dies to the splash. This is why I think Kerbloom needed to be in range to be able to pop whatever comes up. Because if Kerbloom was here, you could hit Juice, yoink, possibly kill this. I think maybe you can't kill it. And maybe you maybe you don't have enough damage in with Erratic where Stabby is and living. That would be really bad, but... So this ends up with 867 health, which means that this can't kill the baby Snakey. I feel like Catmad has got this. Barring a catastrophic error, I just don't see how Redwick is able to break this at this stage. Something else needed to be ready to stand on lava to hit this, which wouldn't be the end of the world. You're going to have to be trading things out, so you have to accept some damage as long as your Phobie can tank whatever damage is coming at them long enough to get a second set of attacks. Great. But that isn't happening. Plus, you have to keep in mind that while the Kerbloom will go off, it's going to die in the process. So the question is, how do you deal with these three? And you're going to need Erratic and Ginsting to just connect with them multiple times, and that I just don't think that's going to happen. I think that's just going to be rough. We did finish Event 1, Alistair. The results are in Discord. I posted them into the Fright Night channel, but we did finish Event number 1. We are into Event number 2. So clearly anything that commits here, it's probably going to be Cassowary is dead to Kerbloom. Blue player's down to 2,400 health. They have to cap these panic points. They just don't have a choice. I'm not sure about this stream later, Rhonda. We'll see how I feel at the end of everything. We'll see how tired I am. This kind of feels like bait. Although, I don't know if it's... You could yoink, you end up here. It's 3 and 5 is 8, and then lava. Yeah, so we would be trading Kerbloom for this. I don't think this ends well for our blue player. I think this needed to happen a couple turns ago. Not necessarily this specific layout, but something similar. This might be okay. I don't know why this Ginsting is all the way back here, though. I think it needed to be up here. Because now it can't interact fast enough. Like, it can't actually attack on this next turn. Is this dead? It's not dead. Wow. I think the bait here just didn't work out. Remember how I was saying I don't see any way that Redwick comes back? Well, may have found one. May have found one. Yeah, that's less damage, ultimately. But it does allow for a retreat. But the problem is now Redwick can eliminate the Gonzo. Can they? Yeah, this will solo the Gonzo. It heals up, and now I just don't think there might not be enough damage for Catmad. Can Catmad yoink? So Catmad yoinks. That puts it at 12. This is 6, 750. Actually, 1260. It's 500. 6, 7. 1250. Oh, no, that's just dead. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Now, just like that. Erratic. My original favorite. Erratic does it to him. How do you come back from this is even more dire than the other way it was? I think there were some positioning errors that could have changed the outcome for this. For Catmad, obviously losing the Kerbloom. The baby Snakey here didn't... It felt like there was a way to bait them without actually losing board position. But ultimately, I don't even think Redwick has to go in here. You could probably just hang back. You could probably just hang back and say, you need to commit into me. And I just don't think there's enough damage. The two of these will kill the stabby if it tries to claim it, and then what are you going to do? Fight Erratic with a tractor by itself? That's not going to end well. I think this is just a calculation at this stage of doing the quick arithmetic to see if you have enough damage to actually push the heart. I don't know that that's necessary. Like, I would just send Jin Sting here at this point and, like, gun down the heart. This does force Catmad to decide, but clearly you have to go after the Erratic. That's the only threat. And at this stage, I still think Redwick has it because you have to... The Erratic's not even going to die. The Erratic's not even going to die, so it doesn't matter. Like, none of this matters. It would have to be, like, then Erratic kills this, softens up the Stabby further, the Stabby kills the Erratic, Jin Sting finishes off Stabby, GG. Well done. Come back. Don't call it a comeback. Redwick's always been here. GG. Well played. Well played. Once again, we're on the once lore, chat. If this one turns into a stalemate, we will jump games. We will look at one of the other games because all the games so far on this map have taken an enormous amount of time. An enormous amount of time. I'm disappearing again. I want to eat some more of my actual food. I'm still very hungry, chat. So we are seeing Gravediggers out of both players. I mentioned it earlier. Gravediggers seem to be the worst kept secret in Phobies. Everybody's using them now. Got Gravediggers coming out of our ears. Now this is new. That Gesundheit is new. You don't typically see that. Not on this map, anyway. I can understand it. I still am not a huge fan of Gesundheit, but I get it. Now, we are getting a bank here from A. Markin. Which means, what are we seeing? Are we going to see a boss, chat? Are we going to see boss? I don't know if there's a signature phobie for A. Markin. We also get a bank to 10 from Bunch of Letters. I don't really know what to say for their name, so I'm just going to say Bunch of Letters, because it's amusing to me. So, from this stage, we get a Pterodactyl. Allows still a bank to 8. There's still tons of threatening things and come out as 8. But we've yet to see a yoink from either player. Panic point advantage for our blue player. Yeah, this is a very lengthy map, or has been thus far. I'm sure there are quick games on this map. We have not seen any of them. And with most of the players in the events, they are strong players. All the players are. So, you're not going to anticipate that they're going to make an obvious mistake that you can capitalize on and end it. How am I going to read the blue player's name? They are a bunch of letters. That is their name. I'm very curious if it's an acronym. Like, did all those letters stand for something? Or is it just literally they rolled their face on the keyboard? I'm also kind of curious, are they the person that keeps asking for the ability to change their name in-game in the main Discord? Because there's somebody that asks constantly, and it would be funny if it was them. All right, chat, I'm back. Don't call it a comeback. I was always here. I'm back to eating pretzels, chat. I can't resist them. I love pretzels. Let's call them gibberish. Pepsi 2.0, Coca-Cola 3.0. So what is Evo 1.0? What nickname is it? Nobody's calling any of them Mountain Dew. I actually don't like Mountain Dew, chat. I just don't like it. Gravediggers doing their thing. We're watching an enormous stalemate. We'll give it another turn. Ooh, no. Boop. Bad news, bunch of letters. Now, admittedly, you can get connection with this, connection with this, connection with this, a stimmed hit from this. There's nothing else that can, like, you've already utilized the, or you have the 2 on board that can actually 3 range this in 1 turn. So I guess this was safer. 4, 7, 11 and change. This wouldn't have been dead. This wouldn't have been dead, and I don't think there was any way to threaten it out of vault. That being said, Amarkin elects to play it a little bit safer. Don't want to take the risk. Getting their own Evo 2.0 online. Which one was this? Was this Pepsi? We're in the first round, Kratos, but you can check the Discord. You could also ask other people in chat. I'm not going to go through every game. So we get... And I hate to say it, but this is more stalemate. Panic point advantage is still blue player, so we'll see what we can do from here. How are people going to actually break this? Because we see boops, but no yoinks, which I feel like... I don't know. I'm surprised that there aren't more yoinks. I'm surprised no one is committed to a spider, a Octonauty, a whatever. Do either of these players have Akira? I'm assuming not. And only our blue player has the keys to drop it on the board right now if they wanted to. Although, our orange player's getting ready. Chat, Akira on this map would be a nightmare. Like, not just, oh, well, Akira's going to yoink everything into the abyss. It's just... There's too many scenarios to account for. There's just way too many things. Imagine Akira and Evo 2.0 on this map for the same player. Just the sheer variety of plays that could happen is insane. Like, that is super hard to... Like, how do you even track that? How do you even track that? Hey, Markin does Heartbreaker? Okay. Not like this. Oh, wait, no, they didn't do the earlier boop. I forgot they didn't do the earlier boop. Beauty, or not. Neither player actually wants to commit to anything. Neither player actually wants to commit, and that's how this map goes. It's something to keep in mind, future self. Maybe we start defining the map pool. This map... Is it? I don't even know that it's necessarily better than it was before. I guess it's a little better because you can snowball to the center to get a little more pressure a little faster, thereby not making the game drag as much. All right, chat, we're switching to a different game. They banked to 17 and 15, respectively. We'll come back to this game. We'll come back to that game because I'm confident that game's still going to be going. Oh my god, we're on the once lore. This is a way different board setup, though. We have a fish tank. We do have a fish tank on the board. And we have yoinks. Double droney. How did we end up in this board state? What turn is this? Nobody's died yet. This has got to be very early in the game, but it can't be that early because there's 10, 15, 18, 20 keys on the board. Is that right? 10, 15, 18, 20. Yeah. Chat, you never know what you're going to get with this. You never know what you're going to get. People do the craziest things. Admittedly, we have an enormous advantage in Catmad's favor again. But we did see that in the previous game between these players. We did see a big advantage that was resoundingly defeated. I don't think Erratic's saving the day here, though. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Erratic's not doing it. This block is cute, but whatever. So we saw a lot of Phobos games, and we've seen a lot of games on the once lore. It's interesting what drives people to choose these maps. Sagely not killing the Mopsy because it would technically heal 125. Yeah, we get a little fish tank action. Get a little fish tank. Oh, man. Evo? I don't know, chap. You think we should switch back to the other one? I don't want to call this one over because I've been wrong, but... this does not look good for our orange player. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Phobies. 13 keys, 10, 20 keys. I don't know. This is just, if you are orange player here, what do you do in this scenario? I don't know what orange player's collection looks like, but this just feels brutal. Like, you have a bunch of melee phobies. Some of them fly. You can't effectively commit in. It's interesting to see a lot of people in these games holding on to keys for a good bit. Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, I think a lot of people are too frivolous with their key expenditure in general. I think it's worth doing these banking strategies because clearly the higher cost phobies impact things more, right? And that's how they just do, or otherwise they wouldn't be worth it. But it is interesting because, like I said, on ladder, you see people just spamming stuff every turn, often. Looks like Droney's going to be sacrificed here. Does everybody have a 2.0? A lot of people... Excuse me. A lot of people today have 2.0. That didn't work out as planned at all, chap. This is interesting. I don't hate this. Is this going to kill the jar? Dead jar. We saw that play almost happen a couple times in a previous game, but it did happen here. And now there's basically no threat, right? Oh my god. The droney snipe. Oh my god, chat. Wow. Wow. I don't want to call a game early, but like, wow. That was a brutal turn. I have no idea how you advance into this. We're going to check back on this game. Let's check back in and see where the other once lore game is at. Well, the board state has significantly changed. The landscape is definitely different. We have a smiley trying to answer this beauty down here. We have... Whoop, no. Apparently the back button on my mouse will exit games. I gotta keep that in mind for the future. Very healthy blue team. Very healthy red team. Orange team. I keep wanting to say red versus blue. And it's not. I'm getting a break for the easy boopage here. Or maybe not so easy boopage. Because of the displacement. That's interesting. That's how it works. This is always, like, the multi-boop when it hits multiple things, it makes sense that it checks for the displacement legality first. But it does throw a wrench and stuff. Oh no. It's not dead, because it can only do 420 at level 1, the snowball that is. Alright, last pretzel, chat. plus beauty, somebody's feeling toxic today. There's a panic point advantage still for bunch of letters here. 9 keys to 10 keys, respectively. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 phobies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But again, the health totals on these are pretty sturdy. And this Hevo is eventually going to chew up this smiley. And hilariously, the body block here is super awkward. And because there's 7, there's no help coming. There's no assistance to, at least right now, eliminate this Hevo. So this smiley feels like it's just going to be an incinerated 5 keys. I think on big maps, it's very difficult to get smiley to connect with any viable targets. It's just too easy, especially for a flying phobie like beauty. To just dodge everything. It's just way too mobile. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's definitely a challenge. Get this man more pretzels? No, I don't need any more pretzels. I'll eat all of them. I eat way too many pretzels. Stop eating sweet? I don't think pretzels count as sweet. Unless you're saying me, like, sweet sir. Like that. As opposed to stop eating sweet, comma, sir. Gotta hear that crunch. Hopefully the mic wasn't picking it up too much. I realized I was leaning in like I normally do. I was trying to lean back initially, and then I got lazy about it. Awoo! Chat. You have to pronounce his full name correctly? No. I make an effort to try and get people's names correctly. This is just literally impossible. This is a sound. Boop. Bye-bye, cat. How often do you see a boop eliminate a cat? Like, It just doesn't happen very often, right? You still have to put something here, because otherwise... 1, 2, 3... You have to put something here and here, or otherwise this... Oh no, this healed. How did this heal? Did they not go for it before? Or was that the other game? They're both on the same map. They both have... Well, not similar, but... They have somewhat similar setups. Chad, how have there only been 2 Phobie deaths this whole game? What? Gesundheit and Razormouth are the only Phobies who have died this game. What is happening? Why is it like this? $3,400 health on the heart, though. And I imagine this Noxious comes in here. Yeah, I think you have to leave something back to threaten this. These 2 are enough. I don't like that. I don't know if I like that. You've never had a pretzel before, Onda? It's bread with salt. Like, that's basically what it is. It's crunchy bread with salt. How have you never had a pretzel? How is that possible? This isn't as ridiculous as the whole pizza discussion, because that was somebody actively had pizza and said they don't like it. And it's like, man, what do you hate most about heaven? Although, speaking of sweet, I could go for some Starburst right now. Starburst Minis, specifically. The ones that are unwrapped. Those are so good. And, like, I think I'd immediately go into diabetic shock. Because I would eat the whole bag. This is an aggressive push. But maybe it's not. Boom. Wait, is Boop up? No, no Boops. You can't get the extra AoE. I can see what our orange player was going for here, because you get, like, you get the splash here. If this was up, you get more splash. Like, there's a lot of things. Break the starting block and then put a block in the same place. That is ultimately what did happen. Because, yes, there is a starting block here. 9 keys left to 5. Hi, baby. Where's you go, baby? You're a good girl. You just checking in? She's rotating positions. She's just been going back and forth between 2 spots. One on the couch, one on the floor. But she's a good girl. Get more pings, chat. What is happening? Oh, I just saw yours, Akune, that I'll have to update the bracket. So, Akune advances. We're watching A. Markand. The Eli CNET series. I haven't seen anything from them. Oh, no, there we go. Eli won. Okay. So, Akune, you're actually playing the winner of this series. And then Catmad Redwick will be Eli's opponent. I'll post the temporary one in there. So that way people can see what's going on. Trying to juggle the admin stuff. So, Smiley might get to connect. 8. It shouldn't. This should just be dead, and I don't think there's a meaningful way to threaten it. To threaten, like, a counterattack here, because all of these are going to be healthy enough, and you can body block without issue. 3,200 health. A. Markin has not lost a phobie. Not a single phobie. Honestly, I think if I'm in our orange player's position, I think you collapse as much as you can onto stuff on this side, force a retreat, and then maybe you claim these two. So you can't take the middle with Pterodactyl because the combination of these and then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Actually, they can't get it. 1, 2. They can get it with Noxious to kill the Pterodactyl, which you obviously would not want. But I think the beauty either goes here or here and then softens one of these up because you have this right here. There's even an argument to just put it on here and zap one of them. But now you're at a point where you kind of have to make moves. This Gravedigger has walked all the way across the map to replace some of the... This is insane. Werewolf! Werewolf. Get a little werewolf action, chat. Little werewolf action going on. So now you have to, I mean, not because of the werewolf, but like I said, the panic point advantage, there is a risk of them, like, swinging all the way around, I guess. Oopsie, baby. Wow. Not quite enough to kill this, though. Womp wah. Evo 3.0 is pretty cool, though. I've heard some good things about that, Phobie. I've heard some good things about Evo 3.0, chat. Alright, let's check in on the other games, see how they're going. Looks like they're done. So we're gonna finish this one up. See, there's some more pings in Discord. Catmad wins their series. Alright. So Akune has mentioned you're waiting for this one, the series, to finish. You'll be playing the winner, Eli and Catmad, so I'm going to let them know. Eli. Catmad, feel free to get started. So we'll see how this game goes. I think they have some more games after this, chat, so we're going to be jumping between the two series. The sequencing is going to be a little messed up, but that's okay. Yep, there is, in fact, a werewolf. We have werewolf and snowball on the board. And werewolf should be transforming this turn. We had stepped away briefly, just to see if the other games are live, but... A little AoE action. Oh my god. The brutality... A. Markin just tearing their opponent apart. For the record, 0 phobies lost for A. Markin. 0. 0. Hashtag just saying. Notably, neither player put out a yoink. On the once lore, neither player put a yoink phobie on the board. There's the werewolf. Too bad it's wildly out of position. Boom. Get that big noxious hit. AWOL. Not enough. He's just going to walk it off. Fly it off, whatever. Chat, this game was wild. This game was wild. I know we were jumping in and out. But whew. Woo. This is a showcase. It's an incredibly patient game being played by a Markendeer. I mean, I keep calling attention to 0 Phobies lost, but that's actually an incredible accomplishment, especially given the context. So we get a zap. Nope, maybe not. 2k health on this heart. Opponent is basically fully healthy. A Marken was solely focused on eliminating the opposition here. Absolutely brutal. M. Rapples, thank you for the follow. Much appreciated. Or Mr. Apples. M. Rapples. I can read. It's just funny because it's all lowercase. So, like, I'm looking at it, and I just looked at it real quick. I think Mr. Apples is probably the actual name, so my bad. That should seal the deal. I think this was a done deal several turns ago. A Marken just methodically marching on the march. In dominating fashion. Down goes Werewolf. We do have a casualty on A Marken's side, but that's going to be the game. That'll be the game. Just wait for the inevitable. Impressive game. Impressive game, I have to say that. Definitely a very interesting showcase, given that, as we said multiple times, 0 yoinks utilized on this map, which is the more common thing, but GG. GG. Okay, so here we go. Catmad versus Eli here on Xylo. We'll be checking in on the other series that's going on as well. We get an early attractors compared to the Once Lore game that we were just looking at. We get some yoinks early on. Get some yoinks early on. Biggest takeaway from this tournament is that Gravedigger is kind of nutty. It allows you to manipulate the map in some crazy ways for fairly cheap costs. Yes. Gravedigger has put in an enormous amount of work over the course of this event, and I think people have always underestimated it. Well, not myself included. Like, I didn't like Gravedigger for a while, but as the collections grew again, like early on, it was great. I have this thing that does stuff. I have a button I can press. Then it fell off for me because, okay, well, I can manipulate the board, but I have no way to really capitalize on it. And now that there's the introduction of more phobies and greater, better strategies, you can now capitalize on it in more impressive ways. And you can make more things happen. Plus, there's been the introduction, the infusion of a lot of maps that all of a sudden have these obstacles to be obnoxious about or with. Like I said, we'll jump back and forth between the other game that's going on, see what's happening. We're getting the more standard Crushmore opener here. I'm a little surprised. Like, I'm not sure what Catman... This is a weird setup. I just noticed 10 keys and Droney's here and not to the center. Going first, if you're going to Droney, why wouldn't you take this? Why is this still an uncontested point? Or unclaimed point. I guess it's contested, but that seems weird. You could have had this, then pull back to this safely. So to answer the Crushmore, speaking of Gravedigger, we do get a Gravedigger. I prefer Crushmore on this map because it provides a lot more utility aside from just breaking the blocks. You know, it can actually be a combat threat. So 10 keys to 11 keys banked here. We'll see what happens from this stage. I imagine there's going to be Hevos coming out. What else are you banking for? It's also frustrating. Like I said earlier, we're getting this bug where I'm observing and I'm not seeing the timer run down in all cases. So it's a little frustrating because we can't tell, are they thinking? Did somebody disconnect? Like, what's happening? But we do, in fact, get Hevo 2.0. Gravedigger also has nice hair, so that's another bonus. True. Gravedigger is definitely a headbanger, right? Definitely headbangs with that hair. So we get both the push and the pull here for our blue player. Definitely a lot of scenarios you can set up here. The boop does threaten something here, but given the Gravedigger positioning, you could just break and then walk away. What I think does need to happen is this attractor should be closer, or does need to end up closer. The reason being is you can target the heart, as we've seen in a number of other games, which will allow for some mean things to be done to your opponent. How does every player have a tractor? There's a lot of people. I mean, a tractor is a rare. It's not an ultra rare. So while it is, by definition, rare, it is not... it's not ridiculous to think that a lot of people are going to have it. Especially if you're playing a good amount or you put in money, you can absolutely acquire a lot of things. Discussion for another time. Hematic Ginsting fills out the ranks. We're just getting some positioning here. In the meantime, while we're waiting for these players to decide, let's see about this game. Also on Xylo, getting a wildly different opener. So A. Markand went with an early Gravedigger and Cat play. Is this damage? So how did they... They must have gone here with the Gravedigger, probably here with the Cat, break, and done this. That opened up a snowball opener for a bunch of letters into Repeller. A. Marking's been pulling out some very unique strategies on these two maps. I mean, we've been talking about the power of Gravedigger. Both players have elected to utilize it here, but an opening Gravedigger on Xylo is not a common opener. That's something you just... I don't think I've seen anyone do outside of, you know, if we watched a low stress level game where people just don't have a big collection. We'll see if an attractor shows up here, because since Chad is talking about everybody having attractors, we didn't see an attractor on the once lore out of either player, which is fascinating. Just absolutely fascinating. Get a spider, so we're not going to go yoinkless in this game. How do you fight it on Xylo? I don't know. We'll have to see how you fight a tractor on Xylo if it shows up. I imagine it would be similar to the once lore, where it's just going to be super challenging, which is interesting that there was somewhat of a gentleman's agreement. Oh, baby. Boop. You love to see it. Good. So we get the boop. That means that this Hevo is likely safe. Yes, it can be yoinked to here, but who cares? Because it's going to get hit by, like, these and this. I don't think anything else can reach it. This makes sense. You're still going to do the boot play, but you body block here. Not body block. You reclaim the point here. The tractor should be ultra, super, duper, mega rare, and so rare that it's instinct or extinct. Honestly, I would rather a tractor be common than ultra rare. I can explain why later on if people remind me, but we'll worry about that later. They went from the other vault with Gravedigger, then broke block and walked to the panic point. Oh, so they started at the bottom. Okay. Started from the bottom and now we're here. Heartbreaker! Heartbreaker. Pretty good. I'm a little surprised that A. Markin didn't go for the boop. That seemed like a pretty solid play. But clearly there's something that they were seeing that they... Oh, you know what? Because where the spider ended up here? So, because I was thinking, oh, you move up the repeller, you boop, it pushes the Hevo to the lava, then you can walk the spider up and yoink. But the spider was here, so it should have ended up here, aka it can't pull the Hevo. You play Baba Yaga, call him back to the the ancient highlight there, Ikune. So we do get a boop here, but this seems worse, right? No, because this should go straight back off of a boop. It should not end up here, and there's no way for them to... Well, no, wait. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, yeah, that could be really bad. I don't know if it would go up or to the left. I assume Chad is now seeing the other play that A. Markin actually took back. I don't know, because I already forgot where the spider would have ended up. I don't know if the spider would have reached. If it could have, then yes, absolutely. You get the boop, you get the yoink, and then Hevo's dead. But I thought it got pushed to here, in which case it couldn't reach. This is a cool heads-up play by a bunch of letters, but it didn't work. Getting the snowball block there potentially does what we were thinking was going to happen a couple turns ago with the Hevo on this lava tile, and then the spider comes in for the yoink. The repeller, honestly, this was way more of a threat than I thought it would. The repeller is representing way more on the board than I thought it was going to. Yeah, A. Markin has been... Chat's seeing all the stuff. A. Markin's been picking up a lot of stuff. Just absolutely reading the future. Nostradamus or Miss Cleo, whichever you prefer. Oh, no! Not like this! Bunch of letters! No! Well, it may not matter. We'll see. Even get the Heartbreaker snipe? Oh, no! No. So I'm betting A. Markin knows this boop sequence better than I do. But it would appear... Well, this is out of range anyway. Never mind. It's irrelevant. I didn't realize how far back this was. If it was here, there's the potential that it can boop this. But I don't think it ends up in the abyss. I'm not sure. I feel like it would end up going left, not up. This feels like a really bad position. Like, how do you come back from this position? I know I've said that a lot today, but this is a rough spot. This is a brutal spot, not even rough. Get a little damage on this Heartbreaker, soften it up. Beauty is going to try and be the wild card here. Going to be the magic one. What's funny, though, is Heartbreaker is only accounted for 3 keys worth of takedowns at this stage, but ultimately it exerts so much influence on your opponent's positioning that it's difficult to quantify how much of an effect that Heartbreaker has. Are we still talking about that other turn way back when? With the droney and the snowball? I did, like I said, I'd have to go back and look, because I thought the spider could not walk into range to get the pull, and I don't know that this... You could have gotten the snowball into range as well. I don't remember where that ended up. But I'm not sure. Like, I can't... I know they got booped, but I don't remember... Wait, it was one... So Spider, I think, was here. This is going to bother me. So Spider was here and Snowball was here. Because I think Snowball started here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that actually would have worked. Because then it would have been covering the 2 points. And it should have booped into the abyss. I thought things were back farther, but I can't mentally picture it at the moment. It's near impossible to come back from this on Xylo. I have no idea how you come back from this. Like, literally none. This Heartbreaker is completely untouchable. And eventually it will get something again. And right now it's 6480 to 6410. There's an enormous amount of time for Markin to just wait for the cooldowns to come off. There's no real pressure being exerted by a bunch of letters. So, like, what are you going to do? And we'd have to go back, and you can't, because this is live, we can't scroll back to see how it could have been positioned differently. Obviously you don't get the spider booped, but even then, at some point, you need to commit in, and that's the thing, is I think the answer that I've seen to Heartbreaker is actually dive the Heartbreaker, which makes sense. It's low health. But now you're committing into your opponent's forces on Xylo with a yoink, with a boop. I think both of these were available at the time. I mean, this definitely was. I don't remember when the spider showed up. It's a difficult call to make. But the longer you wait, the more advantageous Heartbreaker becomes, because it's screwing with your positioning the whole time, and eventually they will get something. Cooldown's not quite up. Do have Boop, do have Yoink. I mean, those have been online since 1,000 years ago. Heartbreaker's going to go walk off the injuries it sustained. 11 keys to 9 keys. I guess it's not impossible for Bunch of Letters to do this. You just have to not get Heartbreaker. You can't have anything die to any of these, basically. But at the same time, it's like, all right, now they have their own beauty. What do you do about this? Heartbreaker and Akira will dominate more and more in the future. Yeah. I want to say Akira more so than Heartbreaker, because Akira represents way more multi-kill potential, for obvious reasons. Heartbreaker's clearly the, well, snipe that thing, but you could, like I said, dive it, hypothetically. Akira's tankier. I think they're comparable damage output. I don't remember. But the threat from Yoinks is just insane. Yeah, Firkin is suddenly going to shoot up everybody's tier list, right? Like, there's just no two ways about it. Firkin becomes a big deal. Getting a Finnegan and Smiley to supplement the forces, is that what you want? I guess. Even Akira won't save him now. And Akira could set up a really busted situation, hypothetically, but... Getting some boopage going on here, just some damage going down. No, we're not. I don't really see where that would have accomplished anything, because I don't think that you can counter-kill this, can you? For, let's say, 750... Yeah, close enough. 750, 1150. It wouldn't have been enough. It wouldn't have been enough. Okay. You're a good girl. We'll finish this game out, and then I gotta take a brief moment, chat. Maybe more than a brief moment, but... Smiley's gonna inch its way up. I don't know. I don't think the Smiley's ever gonna do anything relevant. So the issue with these sort of maps, and these sort of board states, is something that is going to have to play heavily into map design. There isn't a good way for A. Markin to end this game quickly, right? I just don't see a clean way for them to invade. They have everything to lose by invading. Okay, maybe they can just get a million zaps like this. That's almost a dead Crushmore. Like, this is a pretty significant chunk of damage. But there aren't great ways to immediately end the game from this board state, even though it's a clearly advantageous position. So it's kind of like, okay, well, we're just going to stalemate. And even in the games where we saw stalemates earlier with different players, either on the once lore, on whatever map, we saw things get dragged out, and it's clearly one player has the advantage, the other, it's their game to lose. And yes, they might end up throwing the game, but it feels as though there are games which require a catalyst, an accelerant to just hit the end state, where it's, okay, the game is clearly over. We've made the plays that need to happen. We're just going through the motions. Prove to me that you can do the motions, which in a tournament game, I understand. Prove to me, opponent, that you can actually do this. On a ladder game, I honestly think it's more problematic, that it's going to take 40 more turns for this to happen, unless one person surrenders. Boop. Not really the ideal boop, but a boop nonetheless. That Finnegan's just hanging out at the top. You can see his little feet up at the top. There he is, peeking out. Bye-bye, Finnegan. You're doing nothing. We get a muffin, only one key remaining for a bunch of letters. This has become the phrase of the weekend. Pushing buttons. There are way more buttons for a Markin to push than there are for a bunch of letters, which is an enormous advantage, especially given the power level of said buttons. Like, a Heartbreaker button is worth a lot. That is a valuable button to push. Akira's busted. Akira's pretty good. Akira's pretty good. By the way, this is a dead repeller. Wait, can it reach the 1, 2, 3? It can actually hit the Crushmore if it wanted. Can it? 1, 2, 3. No, it can't. But dead repeller. I didn't feel the need to call out all of the plays that A. Markin can make, because clearly they're going to make a strong one, but also, like, yeah. This game's over. Check the other Xylo. All right. Chat demands. Oh my god, chat, what is happening here? There's a brony. We get the no damage boop once again. And the shrill scream from a brony. That was good timing. Finnegan's a cutie. True. But so is Slammerhead. So is Slammerhead. This droney, by the way, when we last looked at this game, this droney was in this identical position. Has this droney moved at all? 5,800 to 7,200. Pretty healthy. I can't really zoom out all the way. Pretty healthy. The brony must have just gone off on the previous turn. Pretty solid brony, all things considered. The thing is that this Hevo cannot take the panic point here because then it will get booped from Hevo 2.0 into the abyss. 0 keys to 2 keys. Ah, I'm getting stiff, chat. Very stiff. I hope this isn't a concession. Let me see, maybe it's my connection. Or is this game still... What a way to finish, and the timing. GG. A Markin takes the series. Looks like they're deciding on the map, so we'll see what's going on. So how's everybody doing out there, chat? As always, I am part of the content affiliate program, letting people know. This is sponsored by, well, I guess we'll call it sponsored by. We are getting prizes from the official Phobies team for these events. So shout out to the Phobies team. Shout out to the other content creators that have been supportive, coming in, popping in to say hello. There are a number of other content creators, including Dios, that are running events. Dios's event is going on literally right now. I think like actually right this second, although they are definitely playing this weekend. So shout out to all the other content creators that are putting in effort doing all this stuff. I'm going to have a bunch of editing to do trying to get this up. I want to get it up onto YouTube as quickly as I can. I'll probably chop it up so it's just strictly games as much as humanly possible. Not as much, you know, of the usual bullshit that I have. But shout out to everybody also who has been hanging out watching. It's not really fun to do a tournament when, you know, it's just everybody sitting in their hole doing their thing. It's more fun when there's people hanging out in chat, there's people talking shit in Discord or whatever. We actually haven't had too much trash talk. I don't think we've had any. Everybody's been very mannered, very respectful, which is also good, But it's definitely fun to have the community element come together. We're all playing some Phobies, having some fun. All right, so here we are, Eli versus Catman, obviously joining the action a bit late, waiting for the client to update. We are pretty early on. 9 keys banked, though. This is an interesting opener from Eli. I forget who it was. Somebody had submitted a game replay several weeks ago now where they were commenting on, they won against their opponent, but their opponent made them sweat due to Moly Bully on this particular map, Mysomania. I think this is only the second time we're viewing a game the entire day so far on Mysomania, so this is going to be interesting. We've seen a bunch of Phobos, we've seen some Xylo, we've seen a bunch of, well, the Once Lore, and then whatever the Billy's Room palette game is. I don't remember what that one's called, the new one. It's not Billy's Room, it's the one that was redone because there was an issue with the center panic point. Chat, you'll have to help me out, I don't remember the name of it. But anyway, we're getting matching attractors here. Let's see how this goes. The jar up here was presumably to shoo away the Moly Bully from sitting here. The combination of these two would be able to overwhelm it. It could hang out here for like maybe one turn. And then would have to retreat, and that's probably not worth it. Probably not worth it. The Gonzo here, though, that's probably worth it. Now, notably, we have to call it out whenever it happens. It's a 1-0 Gravedigger advantage, chat. We've got buttons. We've got buttons to press. 3 buttons, in fact, now, thanks to the Gonzo addition to the team, as compared to a meager A paltry singular button for our blue player. Now, as mentioned a moment ago, it is 1-0 Catmad. Let's see how this ends up working out. All right, just getting a ping about the map bans for Hakune and a Markand. We'll definitely check in with them briefly. I'm totally couth. Are you, though? Are you, though? Chat, I gotta move my camera because you can't see the sweet Phobies swag that I'm wearing. Get a little Phobies action going on. This is from the previous Fight Night. Shout out to Smoking Gun Devs. As mentioned before, I am, of course, part of the content affiliate program. They gave me this for running Fight Night number 3. And they send me coffee on a regular basis for producing other content. Got to get that out there every once in a while. Let people know. Make sure that you know what you're in for. So, in the meantime, we're getting a Blast-O-Matic. Actually, the first time that we've seen the big old Boam machine showing up. Haven't seen that a whole lot throughout the day. We do see it commonly show up on crypto. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. The Moldy Bully did sneak back up here to try and threaten this. I don't know if it's really a threat, because if it ever goes in, it's just going to get blown up. I mean, there's already a Gonzo on the board. These two things are in position. This thing is going to disintegrate. And in response to the Blasto, we get a Sparky. I'm not a huge fan of the Sparky boy, but I can respect the attempt here. Boomer recaps the middle. The advantage here is that Gravedigger was able to break this line. You can immediately recap, whereas our blue player has to take the scenic route around. And they're not really interested in getting this Gravedigger online. They clearly did not watch the earlier games. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch the other games, because there have been a lot of Gravediggers. This is an interesting decision. I guess it's really just to avoid the snipe here. This would have been 775, which is not actually enough to kill this thing, although the Gonzo could have caused the takedown. So Hematic Ginsting is the follow-up. We're getting a pretty beefy army. Is it enough? Is it enough? Down panic points, only 5 keys because you invested your bank into this. 16 remaining for our orange player. 5 of which get invested into Stairmaster. Question. At this point, you need blue players got to commit to something, right? Like they are. What? Sorry, this just kind of took me for a loop. Like, why? Do you really think that that's the plan here? I mean, that is a threat of the Gravedigger coming down, breaking this block, and then all of a sudden Stabby's sitting on the healing spa with Sparky. I think I said Stabby, but Sparky's going to be on the healing spa. And you don't have a great way to dislodge it, but I don't know. It just seems weird. Seems kind of unnecessary. The Gravedigger is going to go up here in order to try and break this. They're not interested in breaking the center block. I don't know that I agree with this. This positioning is going to necessitate that you have to shuffle things around anyway. Getting a ranged unit here is admittedly not a terrible idea, because then you can shell the heart out of range of the stim until you account for the fact that this can just yoink it and then, hey, let's shell it anyway. We'll see if either player elects to go with a Honey Bear. That is pretty decent on defense in these scenarios, because you can turn off the lava so you can advance in and actually collapse on the healing spa and potentially turn off the healing spa itself. Because obviously the attractor going in, it won't die, but it will be very vulnerable to any further damage at that stage. But our orange player banks to 11, content with the status quo. 7 keys remaining for blue. It appears they have somewhat given up on the Dive the Heart plan. I kind of get it. I don't see this working out too well. I'm not too sure, like, the Blasto complicates this. There's an enormous amount of keys invested in this singular phobie. And this single phobie is not getting the return for the investment that I think you need. You have to commit in, but anytime you do, it's going to end poorly. Because everything, well, a couple things are going to inch up, and then you're going to yoink it from this spot. Okay, 1, 2, 3. No, the attractor would have to be, like, here already in one of these spots. And then it could move up and yoink the Blasto from here to here. Get double Sparky hits. Maybe you get a hit here. You get a Gonzo buff. You get it would not end well. You're going to end up with Blastomatic splattered all over the walls. But in the meantime, orange player is slowly chipping away at the health of our blue player's heart, 5,800 to 6,850. And Mr. Tramples... Is Mr. Tramples the answer? We're going to learn today. We're going to learn today. There's some mean things that could absolutely happen here. Mr. Tramples, admittedly, not as threatening as the high-level ones you may see on ladder. Deceptively threatening, though, because remember, everything is, in fact, level 1. Everything is, in fact, level 1. So at this stage, I just see no reason for Catmad to try and do anything. I expect that you're going to have to get a Mr. Tramples-led charge. But at some point, Eli has to commit. Now, if we were taking notes from, say, one of A. Markin's games, as we saw earlier, there were absolutely points where A. Markin could have just said, nah, I'm just going to control the board, and instead elected to go in and made it that much worse for your opponent. And you can absolutely do something like that here by even just rearranging things in what may appear to be a meaningless manner. You just rearrange it, make them think, make them do something, and then all of a sudden, oh, I catch you out of position, because it's not trivial to do that with a tractor, but it's pretty close. That's part of why I think this attractor should have been in a slightly different position, probably where the Stairmaster is, so that way you can represent this particular threat. They're out of keys. There was nothing that could reach an attractor in this position. You might as well go for it, sort of thing. Because then now you could yoink this, again, into the range of a stimmed up Sparky. That's going to be a dead Blasto real quick. But instead, we get a much more passive game plan, which, as I started out with, you don't have to do anything. The blue player has to stage something. And what's weird is they still have not... Like, clearly you want to break this block, right? You've been teasing it the whole time. Just break it already. There's no advantage by... Well, maybe not no advantage, but there's very little advantage to you breaking it for Catmad. You're just opening it up so that way you have the opportunity to do something. So while they're staring at each other, let's jump into the Hakune game. Looking here, lights out. Did I catch that? We do, in fact, shocker, get Hevo 3.0 stare downs. And this is looking like it's in hand right now, arguably, for Hakune. I mean, maybe not I'm not saying it's over, but this is looking pretty good. Hakune's got a healthy team, got a Hevo that's able to push some damage onto a good portion of A Markin's team. Is this enough to kill this Hevo? Oh, baby, maybe it is. Is this just dead? Oh, in a jar? Oh, no, not like this. Got him. Got him. You can probably... No, you can't. You can't counter kill this Hevo. Oh, no. Oh, no. Because this, even though it has bees, it's not in... Wait, is there a break? No, there's no break. There's no break available, because if the break was available, you still wouldn't get it. Never mind, because you need the damage from this to actually hit it. But yeah, ultimately, this is bad. It was looking in hand until I realized exactly how much damage A Markin had here represented. Just 100 zeros that Hevo. And, like, there goes almost the entire offense. It is still a very, very damaged Hevo. It's a triple panic point advantage for Hakune here. 1,000 health left on this. This Gravedigger, there's just no way it's long for this planet. Whatever planet Phobies happen to come from. Question is, does this die? I don't think this can die, right? No, it can die, actually. If A Markin wanted this, you could swing this down, and double hit from this, and that should be enough, but... Instead, we get a little egg damage going down. The safer play here, just straight up brutalize the Gravedigger. Since Bees is down, there's no splash that's threatening the Hevo. Now, A Markin has a fairly beat-up team. Of course, it's a little beat up here for Hakune as well. This is going to be tough. I don't know who... Both of these players are very strong. Among the best, if not the best players in the game. And we've had a lot of very strong players through the various Fright Nights, especially including today. So we'll have to see, what do we get here? You get the retreat. Yeah, it's rough. There was no way, I don't think, for Hakune to play this more forward. Because even if you have the Jin Sting here, you're getting hit by at least 3 of these, and there might be a way to get all 4, and if all 4 connect, you're probably dead. This is 450, that's 850. This meatball was down, so that was 1100. So this actually would have lived. You'd require a hit from all 4. But that's still not a very good position to be in. That being said... Yeah, you would have to double hit, so you'd trade this for something, and then it's Clinico Unicorn versus all of this. That's not good. That's not where you want to be. Is it necessary to hide the Unicorn this far? You're obviously trying to dodge the splash to a degree, but is that a big deal? Only 500 damage, notably, on the Jin Sting here, so you're not going to claim a one-hit kill on the Murder Wing here. It's not going to be a one-hit kill. And if you advance with this, this is 8, and we said 450, so 1250, 16, 1700. You could snipe the jar in the previous configuration. Yeah, I was going to say, you can't let the jar get exposed. This means the jar is safe. This is way too much damage here. That's just way too much damage. So the jar is safe. Now the question is, will Hakune sit on this particular advantage? They still have panic point advantage, 2200 to 3400. Because of the positioning of the Hevo, you can't cluster anything. It can reach just about anywhere on this side. Like, anything at this, because it could go here or here, so 1, 2, so, like, this line. And if you're backing off farther than that, you're basically, those phobies are not in the game. So I think this is the most appropriate position from Hakune. The problem is this. The jar can poke at things. And that means all of a sudden that this Ginsting is in range of death much more readily than you're going to be happy with. This feels really bad as Hakune. I don't know how you... Mostly because this thing is 454 health. Maybe not mostly, but a good portion of it is because you can only kill the jar, but this represents so much more damage. I think the combination of these, so this is 900, 700, so that's 16, 21. Yeah, this would be dead even if it was at full health. 2 hits from this, 2 hits from this. Actually, no, it's not 900 because the fire won't stack. So it's 7, 8. And then 7 is 15 and 4 is 19. So that's exact even with full health. So now, is there a positioning that A. Markin can take this center panic point without losing anything important? I almost want to say that this needed to be here or here so that it could threaten the center panic point, because I think you could take this with Hevo and be safe. Regardless, it's going to be Klepto. No, it's not Klepto. Yes, it is Klepto. So Klepto does take the center point. Again, because of the positioning, there's nothing there to actually threaten the Klepto. You would need... Well, this is 860. You wouldn't even kill the Klepto if both of these were in range. So now it's panic point advantage A. Markin. You do get a good bees hit here. You have to get what seems like a wasteful Clinico heal just to ensure that you don't immediately croak. This is 7, 8, like we said, plus 440 is 12, or, yeah, 440, 1240, 1640. So this will live through all of this. It's interesting that the bees went in the center because you burned so much damage. I think you might have been better off spreading the damage onto just these 3. So, like, hit the Hevo primarily. So that way you can walk away and still kill the Hevo. Because as it stands, you're going to need to... Like, you have to completely run away. And you have 2 turns before your bees is back up. Like, you have to run to this point. Or I guess this point. Because otherwise the splash from Hevo gets you. You actually have to run here. Because otherwise you just die. And then A. Markin can just inch up at their leisure. You're already at 2100 health. I think you needed to go here so that you could then remove it and then try and fight everything. You get double hits anyway. I was going to say it has to be a bait here in order to try and draw A. Markin into a trap. But this dies to the jar. This is 800, 1,000. So this is... These are both dead. It's going to be Clinico versus these. Yeah, you can't... This is why I think that the bees on the previous turn needed to go down on the Hevo. All right, this is relevant. You still get this with the, yeah, this makes sense. And now you have mobility. But this dies to either thing if it can connect with it. So the Hevo has to, like, go here and Jar has to walk away. But now, Hakune has to commit with something which will clearly die. This is down to the wire, chat. No mistakes can be made by either player. This is what happens when you get two greats going head-to-head. So notably, this will not die from solely Jar hits. It won't die to a singular Hevo hit. You need 2 from both. 1150. Look at this, chat. This is wild. But here's the thing. Again, Hakune has to commit in. I think A Markin moves the Jar here. And then backs off the Hevo to here. And then you can cover both. Like, this walks up, pokes this. It's getting close. It's getting close. There might have been an argument for Hakune to instead put the Jar or the Clinico here. That would mean that, no, it can't die from double hits to this, but then they have to walk the Hevo in. And if they walk the Hevo in, then you can light it up. Now, in this case, this is going to... I think this is just dead, right? 450... 8... No, it might not. 7... Not 7. What am I saying? 450... 870. $890. 450 and 440. Yes. Too many numbers, chat. My brain's getting fuzzy. Even for basic arithmetic like this. Did Hakune do it? Did Hakune do it? Did Hakune do the impossible? 800 health, chat. It doesn't get any closer than this. It doesn't get closer than this. Good Lord. If you are missing this live, I don't even know what to tell you. So there's clearly a trap around here, right? There has to be. Wait, why would you do that? Really? Like, why was that necessary? I guess to get this in range. Oh, the trap! Oh my God, chat. Game. Well done. That's incredible. That's incredible. That would be worth going back and watching from the beginning. So the map bans there for Hakune were Phobos, Xylo, well, Hakune and A Markin. Phobos, Xylo, Pluto, and Lights Out. Strap in. We're in for another long game, I'm sure. 1-1 here. The rubber match, if you will, between Catmad and Eli. Let's see what's going on. Let's see what we've got. We've got a droney start here. There have been a lot of bold dronies. Been a lot of bold dronies. But Eli being defensive with their puppy here, don't want to advance it. You could snipe this. No, you actually couldn't. You can't, because the fire won't kill it. Lol. Wouldn't have been able to get it anyway. Wouldn't have been able to get it. We have our first yoink. We have our first yoink. The Crushmore is interesting. We've been talking a lot about Gravedigger, but Crushmore has not really appeared as much, but it is showing up here. It is showing up here. Bank to 6 from Catmad, bank to 7 for Eli. And we get an attractor. Chat, this one's going to take a while. Let's check in real quick with Hakune and A Markand. We'll be bouncing back and forth. We're on Mysomania, same palette for these two maps, but different map, in fact. A Markand leading, I'm telling you, A Markand's openers are weird. And not weird like, oh, that's so weird. It's like, wow, that is unique and interesting. Because seriously, I don't think I've seen too many stabbies, let alone successful ones on this map, but I imagine, talking some high-level games here, stabbies showing up for both players, Gravedigger for Hakune, and a Jar, A Markand banking to 10 early on. I'm sure we'll check back in on Eli and Catmad shortly, and we'll get a lot of staring. So that's why we're switching to this game. Make sure that we're switching between the action, trying to get all the different games on as much as we can. So I guess my original prediction for the previous A Markand Hakune game was right. When we zoned in, I said, looks like it's in hand for Hakune, and then it got real messy, and then Hakune ended up pulling out the W's. So, I mean, I guess sometimes I'm right. It happens. Yeah, everybody likes Once lore. Well, I don't know if people like it or people are choosing it because they feel the strategies are obvious. Well, get yoinks, win game. Like, that's how it works, right? Yeah, so they're not taking the center panic point, because I see chat asking, because at the higher levels, you often see this delicate dance of the repositioning and maintaining the one key so that you don't, because think about how many one keys you burn over the course of a game. You know, for a lot of players, it's like 5 to 7 keys worth of one keys. That's a lot. Like, that's anywhere like 1 to 4 phobies, right? I guess it wouldn't be 4, but you get the idea. Like, that's a significant amount of phobies and relevant ones. So you could instead just preserve the one key and not get caught up in that nonsensical trading that seems to constantly happen. Or they could just do it now and just throw everything I said out the window, because who cares? In the meantime, we get an oopsie baby showing up on the board. Makes sense. Makes sense. The Bachelor is going to get eliminated fairly trivially, and we'll begin the one-key trading war, I imagine. We'll see whether A Markand bites or decides to go for something else. I was going to say, we'll get the body block here, / the kill. It's interesting that the Crushmore went so far south. You know, it gets the initial break, it comes down here. It's clearly shooing stuff away, but I wonder... Alright, so Hevo 2.0 in order to allow the cowbell to eliminate the batch. Wait, what? Never mind, not happening. Forget you ever saw it. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Alright. And we're just getting what we expected. We get what we expected. And by expected, I mean it was demonstrated mere moments before this happened. They literally showed us what was going to happen. Chat, all of a sudden I'm very, very cold. I was very hot earlier, and now I'm very cold. Uncomfortable. A tractor shows up. Hakune. A tractor is dangerous in the least competent hands. And in the hands of Hakune, I imagine this is going to be an absolute nightmare. So we'll see what happens here. Hevo 1.0 backs off. We're trading one keys as mentioned before. Repositioning from Oopsie Baby. Still super creepy. Super creepy. Five keys for A Markand, though. 12 keys for Hakune. 12. Why? What are you banking for? So we get the repositioning here. This is a weird cooldown battle between the Gravedigger and the Crushmore, because if Gravedigger breaks it, Crushmore could just roll up here next turn, plop the obstacle back down the following turn. And there's really not much that Hakune can do to interact with that. So it's just going to be a matter of who spends their cooldown first, sort of. But instead we get Hevo 2.0 going down there to play defense. And it looks like Crushmore's going to open the path to Hakune's heart. Hakune also 17 keys banked. God knows what's going on. It's not the heart rush that you see at many levels on this map. But setting up our 3-ranger in that position can be a substantial threat. This is interesting. Like I said, the cooldown battle, the Gravedigger was not going to get up to the top to replace an obstacle or something. Breaking this one clearly opens up a lot of new avenues. No, does that really count as a pun? I don't know if it does. But we are getting Hevo... Nope, we're not getting Hevo 3.0. What are we getting from the 17 keys Hakune has? I don't know about anybody else, but when I bank up to this many keys, sometimes I get analysis paralysis of, oh my god, so many options! So many options! So the positioning here on the attractor is actually important. Why? I mean, it's always important, but why is it important here in this scenario? It doesn't have to move in order to yoink things if a Markin were to try and get aggressive, move that Crushmore up, break the block in front of Oopsie Baby, and double hit the Klepto. That's unlikely to happen regardless because the Klepto wouldn't die, but it is an option. You could also power down the Klepto and get a hit, and then, okay, that makes probably a little more sense. But we're getting the original plan that I was describing earlier. You break the top block, you get the Oopsie Baby ready to go, and you do have to deal with Klepto or whatever ends up on the spa, but if you power it down with the Oopsie Baby, you're not as worried. You can just kind of tank their hits and probably just walk it off. But Panic Point advantage, albeit a 1-0 in Hakune's favor. You can get a yoink on this Hevo 2.0, but I imagine there's no way that this dies. Right? There's a lot of damage that could go down on this, actually. So this would be 320, 720, almost 1100. We'll round up and say 1500. I think you end up being just shy. No, well, I think you can kill this because Jar is still available and so is Snowball. So you send Hevo here. No, you might not have enough surface area. I think you're missing surface area because it'd have to be Klepto here, Gravedigger here. Attractor has to be here, which means that the Snowball can't reach. I think you're just shy. You can certainly put a beating on it, but that's, you know. That being said, I don't know that there's a whole lot of counterattacks that could come out. Well, you could Hevo plus Crushmore to kill it. Hevo and Crushmore to kill the Attractor if it was here, I mean. But then you probably lose both because this is already beat up and then everything else can focus this. I don't know. So instead we get a little more patience. 15 keys to 16 keys. There's the Hevo 3.0. Getting 2 of the 3 Hevo family. Oh, technically we have all three here, but one of them has gone over to the other side. Or maybe these two went over to the other side. Depends on your perspective. Now, the attractor is threatening a yoink on a variety of things, but I don't think there's really a good way to capitalize on it. Akune doesn't have a whole lot of damage, and most of it has to reposition. Even if you do, the Hevo is going to come in and just splat your team, and then splat it even more off of the stem. The panic point advantage remains 62 to 750, 70-50. Let's check back in on the other game, chat, and we'll see what happens here. We had a whole bunch of yoinks in this one. Whoa, what is... What just happened? So we have some yoinks on both sides. One's a little more impressive than the other. Boomer, definitely relevant. Slammer head, 1 key left to 7 keys left. 56 to 56, dead even on heart health. Spider's up, Attractor's up. This is a pretty tense game as well. I can kind of feel that in the A Markin game and Akune, we're going to get something nasty happening soon. So I want to get back there, but I wanted to check in and see what the status of this game is. We'll have a quick game break. Pitch it to New York for a game break. We'll see what this turn is, and then we'll check out what's going on in the other one. We're getting kind of stalematey in this. Oh, no. There is a block available, and I don't think it would be bad to do it. Well, this could fireball, this can lob, this can lob. This could yoink off of this, but I don't know if that's going to matter other than for the damage. You do get a little bit of splashage going down. This, I expect this results in a dead Noxious, right? If the snowball goes in, it dies to the jar. Although the jar probably has to reposition or the snowball gets it anyway. But I think the snowball damage is necessary to kill the Noxious. Oh, that is aggressive. That is aggressive. Be aggressive. Oh, they're going in. The spider yoink to snipe the jar. And Mr. Tramples. Alright, chat. We're going to be swapping back and forth because we got to try and catch everything that's going on in both these games. What has happened? We have... Battle lines are drawn. There's a Quagmire defending the heart. 70-50. 50-400. Some fireballs. Molotov cocktails going down. Gonzo does make an appearance on A Markin side. 2 keys remaining to 11. Other than the Quagmire, pretty healthy for Akune. Very healthy for A Markin. Dislodging these threats from the north is actually going to be a little complex for Akune, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Phobies, so you can still build your forces. It may require something like a Honey Bear just to turn this off, but a Honey Bear doing it immediately is 1, 2, 3, so it would only turn off these. It would not deactivate the healing spa, which could be problematic. What do you got, Akune? What pocket strat do you happen to have to get out of this hole? Because A-Markin is... I mean, they're not substantially ahead, but this is a problematic scenario. No break online for anything soon. Additionally, the Gravedigger would have to run across creation in order to get there. So Crushmore, huh? Crushmore is a valid break. Well, what's the plan here? Like, how are you... Notably, this is down to 50 damage thanks to the Oopsie Baby. Thanks to Crybaby. And a little bit of stare down here. 2 hits is surprising, but I'm guessing it's going to live. 715. Yeah, it'll live. It will survive. There's no way to juice it. Can we catch the end of this game? People watching this on YouTube are going to be so annoyed flipping between the games. So we had that massive invade. It ended up yielding a dead Tramples, a dead Pterodactyl. Oh, there wasn't a tractor for Eli. We missed that earlier. Crushmore and Spider, well, those were dead from before. So we are now down to these 4 versus these 4. This has to be dead, or you wouldn't be doing this, right? Yep. No! This is gonna live by 10, right? It's gonna live by 10 health. Oh, no. Can't even blame it on levels. Can't even blame it on levels. Boop is down, but Yoink is up. Yoink is up for the Spider, obviously. Chipping away here. The Noxious looks a lot worse staring down a team of Mechanicals, right? It looks a lot worse. Panic point advantage is still for our blue player, 56 to 42. The aggressive push from the Slammerhead, there's really no threat to it. I mean, it could get poisoned again, but that's about it. It won't one-shot this, though, so the Jar can hit and run. Although, admittedly, if it were to, like, hit and go here, then Hevo can come in and kill it, but then the Hevo dies to the Spider, so we're not looking at a fantastic set of threats. Bonk. Ooh, an aggressive Spider play invading the stim. Catmad on the ropes. Honestly, I don't know what Catmad does here. Catmad boops is what Catmad does, because Boop was still alive! I think you can just kill... Wait, can you not kill this? I mean... Sure? I feel like you kill the Noxious, right? I feel like you kill the Noxious here. I mean, this... No, I think you have to kill the Noxious. Why not kill the Noxious? Could you not have gotten it? I feel like you had enough damage, because this is 600, and then it was... How much was it from the Hevo? 390? I think you kill it. Some, like, completely miscounting somehow. 3,200, 5,600. One, two, three. So you can only get a single hit from the Noxious. But honestly, you could probably ranged poison back off. Or you can claim panic points. This is doing over... It's doing 1,300 a turn. You could race with this, I think. Yeah, pull him back to play it safer. It's going to be tough for this attractor to get back in the game. Well, it could be aggressive about it. Yeah, there you go. You get a boop. You got a zap. Ball game. Well done, Cat Mad. GG. GG. All right, we'll jump back into the Hakune game versus A. Markin. That Quagmire did, in fact, live to tell the tale. The Hevo's now rotated to the top. 50-50 versus 4,400. So what do we got here? The attractor is live. Break is down. Break is up. These two just keep poking at each other to seemingly no effect. Pretty healthy other than the Quagmire. Pretty healthy save the Rushmore. This has to put itself in harm's way, sort of, in order to yoink. And by sort of, I mean it's absolutely going to be in harm's way. Who's a good girl? It's you. You're a good girl. So where does this go from here? Take the stabby down, but the damage is just going to end up on... Like, what's the thing you want damaged? This seems... Yeah, you don't want that, I don't think. Maybe that's okay. This might be okay, but it just offers up more for the yoink. Honestly, I don't think I'd hit this. Although, maybe Hakune... Like, Hakune has to be going for the chip damage on the heart. No, it's going to start in 20 minutes, Big G. And we confirm Catmad advances. Just updating that stuff. I know there's no sound. So the stabby goes down. Panic point remains orange. Because obviously the pull here. Did I see him take out 14 keys in one turn? No. I'm assuming you're talking about this rye bread. We were looking at a different game. Or are you talking about in the... We might have missed it on both games, truthfully. Because we've been bouncing in between. I hope we didn't miss that turn. We've seen some pretty wild turns. But because of the caliber of players, it's tough. I've been debating, do I swap between games? When it's like, oh, well, this might be a standoff for a turn or two. Let's take a peek at the other game. Part of me thinks that I'm just missing every time and just missing all the good stuff, but I'm not sure. This appears to be a rough spot for A. Markin, but we've been saying that all day, every day about all these games, and I don't know if it's actually been true. We do get a Klopster out of Hakune, though. Not quite enough damage to kill this. Which is shocking when you think about it. How is that not enough damage? It's incredible. $10 health. Oh, no. Yeah, you gotta juice it, but that means that something's gonna get pulled by the dimensional. And by pulled by the dimensional, I mean pulled onto the healing spot, which is probably fine in A. Markin's eyes. I could definitely see that being fine. Down here, we're going to get a little Molotov cocktail party. Akune still getting the splash going down here. Still dropping the splash here. The panic point advantage is now 4-1. Why this? So you could walk down. No, it's going to be a couple turns. I was going to say you walk down and break this, and then you get a line of sight attack, but you don't, because it's going to be a couple turns. But 3,200 health to 50-50. Ooh. Clever. Clever. 1,800 health, so you should be able to cap this. I think this is a good line from Akune to try and go for this play. It's going to be challenging to maintain it. It's going to be close, because it's possible for A. Markin to just burn a bunch of stuff down. But I don't know that there's enough time. Only 2,600 health, and you're not reclaiming any panic point. Unless you send, like, the Gravedigger, the Crushmore, rather, to here. It's clearly not great. This seems like Akune's got it. But I've said that before. Boop. Get a little push action. But still no panic points exchanging hands here. And if it's a 5-0 panic point advantage, this heart is going to absolutely melt. So Hevo has to come off of defensive duty in order to make this work. And I think that makes sense. You can't let that happen. The problem is 1, 2, 3, 4. This Hevo is going to end up walking onto the healing spa. Both of these can hit it, though. This will have to stand on lava, but... Is that enough? I don't think that's enough. Because of the heal. It's going to be 800. This is down. I'm trying to scan to see if there's a different play for A. Markin to make, but the majority of their forces are up here. You know, like, everything's north of the midline, except for this Contortio. And I guess the Hevo's on the midline, but 4 of their 6 Phobies are up here, 2 of which are one movers. They're just not going to get in range in time. Honestly, I wonder if a move and then yoink in order to kill the Contortio would be valuable. $600 health, 600 damage rather. Next turn, there's at least 700, so that puts you at 11. You can now reclaim this, so it's a 1-0 panic point advantage. Yeah, this has to come down. So Hakune will get some splash off this Klepto because you can hit the Contortio. The Quagmire presumably caps this point. In which case, it's another 600, puts you at like 500 health. And you may have stabilized. I say may because I don't know that... Alright, going after this. Alright, panic point 4-1 going the other way. This makes sense. I don't know that this Hevo can race quick enough. I think Hakune just goes all in. 2 hits here, hit here, and I don't think that A. Markin can kill the Hevo on the spa fast enough. I mean, they're going to get a bunch of like, it's going to be trivial to eliminate the other remaining things, but you don't care. That's 700. This is 700. You're not going to get it on panic points, but they have to kill literally everything down here this turn. There's no other way for them to do it. And there's only... Wait, is this... This is juiced. This can be juiced. But it doesn't matter. This can't reach. I think that's ball game. I think that is ball game. 3850 on the orange heart. Tell me there's enough damage here to kill this. There's no way, right? $18.60. Not quite enough. Not quite enough. I wonder if, in retrospect, you fight for these center points as A. Markin did, but instead of sending the Crushmore here, keep the Crushmore here. Have another 800. I think you come up short no matter what. I think you come up short no matter what. Ball game. GG, Hakune. GG. Here we go. So we're jumping into the finals of Event 2. We're overlapping a bit with Event 3, so you're going to have to forgive me as I try and get some admin stuff squared away, get people going, all that kind of fun stuff. We still have 5 minutes before Event 3 actually starts, but people are obviously getting geared up. So, in the meantime, we get Gravedigger openers from both players. We're getting some turrets coming out from Hakune. I know, shocker. Everyone, calm yourselves and reconstitute yourselves from the floor. We're getting jars and stabbies and Gravediggers. Now, I'm trying to skim real quick to see if we can get the map bans. The map bans in this case were Phobos, Xylo, Pluto, and Lights Out. God forbid anybody bans the Once lore. I'm sure we'll play on it, and there will be a 75-minute game. Because, you know, there we go. So in the meantime, we are getting a connection here with the Henrietta onto the Gravedigger. Now, I am the first... I'll probably be the first person to say, hey, you know, who cares about the Henrietta poison? But it is relevant on an undead. It does add up. Sort of. Because remember, you're going to leech with this. And really, the Gravedigger's out there to break or build, say, 2 things, chop something once, and then die. That's basically what happens with it. Give me 1 second, chat. All right, so we're getting bow mangles. Maybe we're not. I was going to say we're getting double turret and boom, but that is clearly not the case. 5 keys available to Hakune, now 4. Boom does make an appearance. 6 keys on Catmad's side. We'll see how this goes from here. We'll see how this goes from here. Ginsting is the follow-up from Catmad. Hakune's banking to 7. I think we all know where this is going. I imagine Hakune is going to try and stand up a Hevo 3.0 and go from there. Now, I'm hoping that everybody for Event 3 sent me Frenemies invites, because I'm watching chat as people try and do this, but we'll see. In the meantime, 2-to-1 panic point advantage over our blue player right now. Again, 4 keys to 7 keys. Hevo's likely to... Okay, maybe Hevo's not coming out. We're getting the bow mangles that was making an appearance earlier. I'm not sure what caused Hakune to wait, other than maybe threaten something here. I'm not really clear. But either way, they're still holding down this panic point advantage. They're actually supplementing their forces with a wall. Now, Boom has become, aside from Onda, a trademark for Hakune, where Hakune is on occasion set up some interesting plays by popping the Boom at a specific point in order to get out from under Phobie lock and then make something nasty happen to their opponent. But as it is, a 6 Phobie bank, especially from this position, it doesn't seem like we should be expecting a big surprise. I expect this is, yep, just going to cap the panic point. Oh no, AWOL is. Nope, it is Boom. Little debate here. Apologize, I'm a little distracted because I'm trying to figure out what's going on to make sure for the next round. So we're officially kicking off the 3rd event while we're in the midst of this one. Just making sure they're getting up and running. Playing it safe with these panic points, or with these 1 keys to reclaim panic points, rather. A very patient game so far out of Catmad, not overextending. We haven't gotten really much chip damage onto Hakune's forces, though, and it's now... Okay, I was going to say it was 9 keys for that Hevo. In fact, it's not. In fact, it is not. I'm just double checking. I don't... Stuff going on the, getting the other event rolling. That's okay. We're getting a whole lot of excitement out of this particular one as we stare at each other a little bit. 9 keys to 11. Both players are now, have everything available to them. All of their keys banked. We'll see what ends up coming out now. So what do we got? I haven't checked on chat either, as I've been checking everything else going on. One time I had an enemy Klepto die to my Henrietta's poison. They could have healed, but decided they have more important things to summon. Fair. So we're getting a couple trades going down here. Cowbell obviously extinguished, as well as a number of 1 keys from Hakune. This poison's still ticking away and actually will kill this Gravedigger unless Hakune allows it to connect with something. I feel like Hakune uses Boom to bait opponents into thinking he's maxed on Phobies. It rarely connects. Yes. And I think it's a cool play. It's a cool play. Oh, boy. Trying to keep my eye on multiple things as we go through this. So we get the takedown and replace here. We're getting... The advantage here that we're getting the trading war is there's not a lot of commentary I can add to it. So I can keep one eye on what's going on for the other event to make sure things are running smoothly. And yeah, it's just funny as we're looking at this, and Hakune is infamous for, well, why do people do this? Why does this happen? It's like, well, here's a scenario where this happens. 10 keys to 8. There is a 1 key on the board to reclaim this. Clearly, this Gravedigger is not long for the world. And the Gravedigger from Hakune is going to remain. In fact, I could even just break this and then kill it. We're going to continue trading 1 keys. Players are willing to deplete their forces. This is honestly, it's kind of flooring me to a degree, because Hakune is notorious for crapping on these. On this particular game plan. Trying to do double duty. So in the meantime, still doing this trade war, we've gone down from 8 to 6 keys, 11 to 8. This is incredibly thrilling. It could be any of your ladder matches out there. Gravedigger can actually die from poison exact amount? Yes. Because Catman had elected to not try and go after something, instead cap the point. But I think it was safer to, is what it is. All right, so we're still, oh man, I feel like I'm just a broken record. We're still at the 1 key trading war. We're just going back and forth and nothing is happening. Nothing material anyway. Just double checking Discord, trying to keep an eye on chat, keep an eye on the next event, keep an eye on the game. I know I'm being a broken record, repeating myself over and over again, but I mean, we're honestly just going to whittle down both players' forces until... and the TED. The TED is the response. we got here is a good old-fashioned phobie standoff. I mean, you're not wrong. You would not be incorrect. Whoops. Almost switched scenes there, and that would have been very bad. That would have been very... So who pulls out the Quagmire first? Well, it would have to be Hakune at this stage, because we do in fact have a Gonzo, which, realistically, this is what Catman was going to have to do. Hakune is the one who's always quoting A-Trend about letting things happen and putting pressure. Yeah, exactly. That's why I keep calling out. It's hilarious that Hakune is devolved into this scenario when they were the premier person crapping on that game plan. So what I kind of expect is that the Ted will reclaim this, and then the Stabby... I mean, it could have been Bowmangles, but this ends up here. The reason being is that you're going to end up otherwise not having enough damage to retaliate when this Stabby goes to step on this. The other option is the Jar. This is 800 health. Like, the Jar could go in. But you can't get, like, Jar... Well, actually, you could. You can Gonzo this, kill the Ted, Jar steps on, steps off. But then Panic Point is still orange. So then, again, everything has to commit into Hakune. 2 keys remaining for Hakune, supplementing their forces with a sheep. That is interesting. That is interesting. Frustrating thing here is that for a long time now, it would have been very easy for Hakune to make something happen. Yes and no. I mean, he could have committed in. But I'm honestly stunned that I don't think Hakune has deployed a Gonzo in any game. As somebody who champions Gonzo, I would have expected that. And in this sort of stalemate, Gonzo is the sort of stalemate breaker that you kind of want. Yeah, Hakune didn't... They were at the advantage here. Trading keys was to Catmad's disadvantage in this scenario. They had less keys. They're down on heart health. They're not going to reclaim the Panic Point advantage without materially changing the status quo. And they didn't. So instead, it is now Panic Point advantage Hakune, and they're ultimately going to... They're going to win by attrition. Because now Catmad has to go in. So while I agree it's funny and haha, Hakune always complains about this particular strategy and why do people do this, but by the same token, Hakune does also frequently say, as we all do, you know, it doesn't behoove the losing player to do this. It doesn't make sense for the losing player to expend keys. For the winning player like this, yeah, you can trade them out, and eventually, like, you're ahead. You can't do that as Catmad. At least not in this case. Just taking care of some bracket stuff, chat. What is this person's Discord name? Oof. What? Oh my god. I'm gonna have a stroke. Wait, who would... Wait, what? That... Who is... Oh, Oatmeal Man. I'll have to find them later. I'll have to find them later. Oh, for heaven's sake. I'll deal with that later. I'll deal with that in a second. Let's finish up this game. Trying to do too many things at once. Trying to do too many things at once. So at this stage, because I was dealing with some admin stuff for the ongoing event, we have 2 keys remaining for Hakune, still advantage the other way. Bad. Oh, I didn't even know Hakune had this. Did I know Hakune had this? I don't remember. Get a Juice Jin Sting, but this will end up dying probably from the dimensional damage and everything. It doesn't even kill it. Oh my god. That is brutal. That is brutal. Dead Jinsting, Gonzo, and Jar. Again, there's no real need to even advance in, but it's probably worth it. You just go get him. And this should be ball game Hakune. Well played. Ball game. GG. For a second, it always is whatever map I'm on that we're zoning into. When you go to the view, it's not showing what their game is. So I always think it's the wrong map. But we're here on Lights Out. We're on Lights Out. Getting, we'll call it the Hakune special here. And then we get the Gravedigger, an early Gravedigger from Catmad, an earlier Gravedigger than we've seen from a lot of players. So I think people are learning. They can learn. Harley, what's the matter? You're a good baby. She's staring at me because my dog is wondering why I've been sitting on my ass for the last 7.5 hours. I've been sitting on my ass talking to no one, at least from her perspective. She has no idea, obviously, that I'm talking to a microphone and to however many people are out there in chat land. Hi, YouTube. Look, Mom on YouTube. So in the meantime, I'm getting more pings in Discord. Who's pinging me? More pings in Discord. The chat, it's never ending. It's just the way it is. That's why I think having an admin for this, ideally long term, but I want to get a lot of this. I've said this multiple times, but get this ironed out, get this tied down. I feel kind of bad for the commentary on the previous game, but it's just the way the timing worked, unfortunately. And I am putting more emphasis on the administrative end of things than the commentary, mostly because, well, you want to run a good tournament. To me, it's more important. This is single elim, Eric. There were 3 events that were running today, all single elim, all 8-person queues. We're going to run a different format, probably. I'm leaning towards Swiss single game, best of 1, as opposed to best of 3. And then, or we could run double elim. I have to map it out and see how many people I was going to cap the event at and then decide. But we'll see. We'll see. In the meantime, we do get the answer Gravedigger from Hakune. I just like the growl. I like clicking on the phobies. They're fun. That's one thing I wish I could get from the devs. I kind of want to use it as a, like alerts. Have some of the noises that the phobies make as alerts. I think that would be fun. I'm sure there's some weird rights things that wouldn't really work out, but whatever. But yeah, we haven't had a whole lot going on. Had the cat takedown here. That's about it. 1-0 panic point advantage for Hakune. I imagine there's a Hevo 3.0 in the near future. Who could have possibly seen that coming? Who could have possibly seen that coming? I know the sound's cutting out. Check in what's going on here. So that's another thing for the devs. I got to remember to actually put that in suggestion, that there should be a setting to allow game sounds to persist when it isn't in focus. But, I mean, it doesn't really matter. So the break is down for Hakune. Break or creation is up for Catmad. So there is a possibility to like just block this off. That does allow though for the... Yep. The Hevo can slide down here and pop this to get some damage going down. And we have seen Hakune utilize that sort of strategy in the past. Just chip down your opponent's forces and eventually you have this turn where you just completely overwhelm them. Imagine how weird it must be for our pets when we talk over our phones or our PC. They must all think we're crazy. Humans do some really weird stuff from the perspective of pets, I have to imagine. But at the same time, they, you know, they love us. They have probably always seen us do those things. So it's just like, well, the weird furless two-legged things that feed me, that's what they do. Like, they're just weird. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's the same thing. Like, why does your dog get the zoomies? I don't know. Sometimes they do. They just want to run around. Like, they just do it. But anyway, for any of those watching at home, again, apologies for the commentary on the last game. Of course, we're trying to get some of the admin stuff going. We want to take care of the tournament first. That is the priority. Although it's definitely a lot of fun to do this live commentary. If you want to join in for the next Fright Night, I'm getting that planned out and should hopefully be underway next month. Waiting on some confirmation for details, but hit up the links in the description of this YouTube video, or if you're here, hit up the Random Thoughts Discord, !Discord. So we get erratic. As I'm doing my whole shill spiel, we do have break or build or break available here. We get an erratic, 8 keys to 6. I'm waiting for DT to finish their thought here. Wait a minute, all the 3.0 showdowns we've seen here recently, I mean, there have been a lot. Catman chooses Teen Spirit versus Hakune anyway. See, this is the thing that may not be happening with all players yet, and why I like this sort of format is if Hakune, and you know Hakune has been for a while talking about 3.0 in Discord and other places, whatever, and even showcased a game of 3.0 on this map literally last night. Now, people may not always be watching the stream, but you should be. You should also like and subscribe, by the way. But even if you just had an inkling, it's like, okay, well, I need to make a pocket strat because I know that this is going to happen. And Anton's saying kind of the same thing. Think Catman is going for erratic plus pull here. It's possible. It's possible. We're looking at 5,200 to 5k health. Panic point advantage, Hakune. A yoink would be good here, but there's also, at this point, got to be, this whole area is littered with traps. Probably not literally every space, but pretty close. Okay, we're going Gonzo, not a yoink. That's a bold move, Cotton. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. 7 keys for Hakune, not maxed on Phobies. Catman is maxed, 2 keys remaining. This is going to be close. I don't... Hakune is baiting here. If that Hevo stays there, Hakune is absolutely baiting, but it is not staying there. It is not, in fact, staying there. We get the glob, chat. 2 games from Hakune. We get to feature the glob. And that's actually the Phobies name. It's not just glob. It's the glob. The one and only glob. Every time I see it, obviously it reminds me of The Blob, that old horror movie, in case you don't know what I'm talking about. But it also reminds me of G.I. Joe Globulus. If you know, you know. I don't actually have that toy. I don't think they made a new Globulus toy. But anyway, 3 keys remaining to 2. This absolutely feels like it is in Hakune's hands. This is Hakune's game to lose at this stage. And I'll be honest, I don't understand how Catmad gets out of this. I think Gonzo should swap with Klepto and Erratic should be here. The reason being then Gonzo could juice either of them, Erratic could advance. Both of them can hit these 2 panic points. But you can't do the 1 key trading thing. So instead, Catmad is going for Kerbloom. That's not a boom, that's a Kerbloom. I can kind of understand the Gonzo to a degree, but I kind of, whoever called out earlier with the Yoink, I think the Yoink is the better plan. I think the Yoink is the better plan. Because this is exactly it. Like, how do you... Yep, it's the Glob! The delay is still hilarious to me when people are reacting to something I said like 3 minutes ago. It'll stop being funny eventually, but truth be told, chat, it's probably going to take a while. It's going to take a while for me to stop finding it funny. The buggiest phobia in the whole game, the Glob. I can imagine the Glob causing a bug here or there. I could imagine why this particular phobia causes some consternation to the dev team. The funniest thing is Glob eating a Glob. But truth, be real with yourself, chat. Be real with yourself, YouTube. Let me know down in the comments, how many of you, given the scenario before, pretend Glob is not on the board. Just put your thumb on the screen. Glob isn't there. Would you have expected Glob as the answer to this scenario? There are not many people who would be expecting Glob. They're just not. That's just facts. So Hakune doing this properly because otherwise you end up being unable to hit the Gonzo. The Gonzo advance seems with... Like, why did this Gonzo advance? This Gonzo could have still been here and been fine. Clearly the Glob is what's going to come after the Stabby, so... Why? $100 health on this. Does the dimensional damage hit the Glob? No, it wouldn't because the fire would kill it on this turn. But what happens if the Glob ate it and killed it? Would it do it? This is actually pretty clever, the Kerbloom, because that dislodges the Stabby. Oh my god! Catmad! You fiend! Oh my god, wait! Oh no! Why didn't you? You could have juiced! Why didn't you juice? By the way, Glob is dimensional. So I think there was a better play to make here, but it's way too late in the turn now. I think you rearrange the Klepto, move the Gonzo here, juice the Erratic, do the boop, and then you get even more damage down on the Hevo. But as it is, 2-to-1 panic point advantage. This is going to be a nearly dead Gonzo, though, if it's not. Is it dead? 450. You could just kill this. You could just kill this. Honestly, that missing damage might matter. That would have been, what, like an extra 300 damage? Because this is not full health, right? This is not full health, so this would only be 1800, so then you could hit it with these two. No, Hakune dropped Glob in an earlier game, Anton. You must have missed it. There was an earlier game that Hakune put Glob on the board. It was hilarious. So if this was at 700 health right now, would Catmad be able to take this game? Possibly. It would still be brutally difficult because, you know, there's a bunch of traps here, and the panic point advantage does not favor him, and this Because... No, because this just dies. This just dies. Never mind. I thought that was going to survive. If the erratics survived and this was 700 less, it might... I don't know. I guess it didn't matter. But I don't think the Gonzo needed to be where it was on that turn. I'd have to go back and look, but I feel like the Gonzo didn't need to be there. Ball game. Hakune. GG. All right, let's open up ye old bracket. And Hakune, winner of event number 2. Congratulations.